Hello, Moonbeams, and welcome back to the podcast. This is Donna Kass, and you are here at the Mystic Moon School podcast. And this week we are here to discuss the Pisces New Moon that is taking place on February 27th, 2025. And that will be about 7:29 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, of course, you will want to adjust that based on where you are listening from in the world. So, welcome. That I have given this podcast, the focus for me in this interpretation is a dissolution of the gaps and the blocks of your fully connected self. And so it is those spaces in between the gaps, the blockages, the things that keep us from living our true authentic self, our fully connected self, connected with who we are, right? But also our higher self, because that's Pisces, isn't it? We'll get more into that soon. And we will unpack this theme. And there's actually a lot to talk about here this week because we have a Pisces party going on in the sign of Pisces, and we have Mars that has finally gone direct, and so there's a lot of energy, Piscean energy, water energy. Jupiter is in the mix here, kind of expanding things, but we are going to unpack that all in this episode, so welcome. I just want to remind you all, first of all, happy birthday to my Pisces, beautiful Pisces people. If you would like to get a solar return reading done with me, I have to say that it is like the best birthday gift you can give yourself or another. I love doing solar return readings. Even if you've never had a natal chart reading done, it's okay. The solar return reading is from your birthday this year to your birthday next year. And what's really cool is that the energies start really showing up about about 3 months before your birthday. And so it's the layer of energies for you this year. What is your focus going to be on? You know, everything changes in the chart for the solar return with the exception of the sun. The sun is returning to the same exact degree point as when you were born. But everything else in the sky is different. So what is your moon going to be this year? Your internal world, your emotional world. Where's Venus in your chart? Bringing pleasure and joy and love and money. What is your vitality, your physical vitality? Mars. Mercury, the way you think, learn, process, communicate. All of these things we take a look at and we see what your focus is for the year ahead. So happy birthday to my Pisces, but really anyone can get a solar return chart reading done at any point in the year, and I've done them at different points in the year for people, and it still really hits, and it's totally spot on, and it's just really very empowering and also quite validating. And it gives you a roadmap. It gives you a roadmap of what to expect, where to focus your energies, where not to focus your energies, right? Like where to go with the flow and where to let go, right? And not resist, and where to push forward. What do you want to put your energies into this year? So yeah, I'm still offering my end of winter sale. So any of my readings, my coaching sessions, it's all there for you guys at my website. And don't forget, please, that I have my guide to living by the moon phases, which is free for you all. Just go to my website, go into the shop. You can download that, print it out, and start living in alignment with the cycles of the moon, the phases, right? And begin to understand that we don't have to live this linear life where we just go, 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 right? Like there's a time and a season for everything. And really, truly, every month there is as well. And if you're still interested, it's still early in the year. My calendar that I made has all of the moon phases in that calendar on the exact dates. So you can hop over to the shop if you're interested in that as well. All right, so all the homework's out of the way. So let's get to this theme, dissolution of the gaps and the blocks of your fully connected self. Now, I want to remind you at the end of this podcast, I have questions for reflection for you that will come up on a slide at the very end. And of course, you can jump to that, write those out in your journal if you'd like, and then come back and listen to the rest. But I will have that for you at the end if you want to kind of focus on some of these questions for the new moon and see what comes through for you. Okay, so I want to give you a little context for this Pisces new moon. First of all, any Pisces new moon is like a dichotomy, right? Because we say the new moons are always, new beginnings because it's the new cycle of the moon each and every month. And while that is true, Pisces, on the other hand, is the final sign in the zodiac. It is about endings. It is about completion and a culmination of all of the energies that have come before it. And so we have a little bit of a push-pull. That's one way of looking at it when we have a Pisces new moon. But I like to go a little further and unpack that for you more, because if you've been in any of my classes or listened to my podcast for any amount of time, you've probably heard me say that beginnings and endings are two sides of the same coin. They're not really opposite. They are, I always use the description of that swinging door in a restaurant, right? It's always swinging open and closed. It's always open and closed at the same time, right? And so it's like a perpetual motion there. And so that's how I see beginnings and endings, because truly, if something is ending, it is also at the very same moment beginning something new. I hope I get this word right. They're inextricable from each other. You cannot tease them apart and make them separate. They're one and the same. And yet, they still have their own qualities. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that gives you a little bit of a canvas for looking at this Pisces new moon, because we are on the precipice of ending very big cycles. And I also want to say karma. Pisces rules the 12th house, and the 12th house is one of the karmic houses in the chart. And this is the karma that perhaps could even stem from past lives, other incarnations, deep, deep, deep in the subconscious that we have carried with us. And you may have been feeling, I would say over the last month, and especially in this last week leading up to this new moon, that you are really approaching a culmination point in your life around something where you just know you're done. You're done. You're complete. Now, I always say this can be something very internal, like the way that you think about something, whether that's yourself, maybe it's a limiting belief, maybe it is just a system of belief that you've had for your whole life, right? And you have been slowly but surely dissolving this, and now you're feeling like the dissolution is becoming complete. I'm seeing in my mind's eye right now water evaporating, like on a very hot pavement. Like the water has been poured out onto the pavement. It's very, very hot. And that water is evaporating very quickly now. It didn't seem like it was moving all that much. You know, it seemed like it was there on the pavement as a puddle, but then it reaches like a tilting point, if you will, and then it starts rapidly evaporating, maybe exponentially. And so that is the dissolution of the gaps, of the blocks that have been keeping you from living in your truth, of living in your power. And when I say power, what I mean is you are unabashedly living from this is me, and I am no longer abandoning myself. I am connected to something bigger than myself, but I also have a very strong sense of who I am and that I am unfolding, growing, and evolving on my path. And that doesn't mean you have all the answers. It doesn't mean you know all the next steps, but there's a confidence, there's an inner confidence, there's an inner compassion for all previous versions of yourself. There's no longer this cutting out of your shadow, right? It's an integration, because all the things that have kept you from yourself, the conditioning that you were brought up with, whether that was through family or schools or social groups or your culture or religion, education, just society at large, right? All of those conditioning, all of the conditioning that we all have, right? It's all dissolving now at a much faster pace. And so all of that conditioning has created a gap and a block from us feeling connected to our true authentic selves. I hope this is making sense, because I see it very clearly in my mind's eye, and I hope that my words are clear and that they are painting a picture for you. It's the space in between you and your true authentic self that is diminishing. The gap is becoming smaller and smaller, and the blocks are dissolving in like salt in water, right? And there's so much water here. There's so much water at this Pisces new moon, and I'd like to start to unpack that for you now. So we have not only the sun and the moon conjunct each other at 9 degrees for the new moon, right? Now, so remember, the new moon, we cannot see the moon in the sky. And every day forward, she will be growing in her light. And so while this is a Pisces new moon and there's a dissolution and there are endings and we're done with a lot of inner stuff, we're going to then grow in light over the course of the next couple of weeks until we hit that full moon in Virgo, which is also a lunar eclipse. And lunar eclipses are they're very powerful, but they're very internal energies, as opposed to, let's say, a solar eclipse, the sun being much more external energies, things that we're seeing showing up in our conscious mind and also in our world, like in a very tangible way. But so this new moon in Pisces is it's on the axis with Virgo, Pisces and Virgo, right? They're sister signs. And so this new moon, this dissolution of what's keeping us from our true authentic selves is going to be sliding into, if you will, like opening up into this lunar eclipse in Virgo, Pisces' sister sign, where there will be healing that can take place. For me, Virgo's highest expression is of a healer and of the sovereign maiden energy, where the maiden knows her calling, she knows her purpose, what she is here to be of service to humanity, to the world, right? And then she can ground that into embodiment, because Virgo is a beautiful earth sign, right? And so this Pisces new moon is dissolving those blocks and those gaps that have been keeping us from showing up in our true authentic selves, and so that we can then really feel and know on a deeply intuitive level, like you just know. It's not a belief, it's a knowing. There's a very big difference. We choose our beliefs. We can change our beliefs at any time if we want to. But a knowing is something very different, and you feel it in your gut, which, by the way, Virgo rules. And so, and Pisces and Virgo people, boy, oh boy, they have the strongest intuition of anyone I know. And so I'm not going to give all of the beautiful, the beautiful energies away now in this podcast for the Virgo lunar eclipse coming up. But I want to connect these two for you, because to me they are very connected. And I mean, I think all of the lunations are. Of course, there's cycles within cycles within cycles, but I see a real strong connection between this Pisces new moon and the lunar eclipse in Virgo happening in 2 weeks. So I'm just kind of laying that out for you now, planting the seeds, if you will, and we'll come back to that in 2 weeks' time. So coming back to the Pisces energy, though, we have the sun and the moon together, and there is so much more going on in this Pisces energy. We have Saturn at 20 degrees of Pisces, and we have Mercury that's been here now for probably about 2 weeks. Mercury has already crossed over Saturn by the time we're having this new moon. And so Mercury is now in between Saturn, the North Node, and Neptune. And this is really significant. Not only are we having just a ton of Piscean energy being beamed down to us, we may be feeling tired, low energy, needing more rest. Perhaps our dreams are super duper vivid, feeling like we are ending a big cycle, things are dissolving. We may feel a lot of uncertainty, lack of clarity at this time. But when Mercury was moving towards and then became conjunct and passed over Saturn, remember, Mercury is the messenger of the gods. Mercury is a god himself and channels down to us the wisdom, the messages from the spiritual realm. So what does Saturn want to impart? And what did Mercury pick up from Saturn in Pisces as he was moving over that point in the sky? Well, for me, Saturn is also the planet of karma. And that has been giving us the awareness that a big cycle is ending here. This could be karma with another person in your life. This could be a situation, a group, it can play out in any number of ways, right? Like your karma at this place where you've been working for a certain amount of time is just done, right? Your cycle is finished. You will know how this is resonating for you. Perhaps it's a dynamic with someone in your life where you're just like, you know what? I've been swirling around like the two fish going around in circles, in circles, in circles in this dynamic, and I am done. Saturn says, we're finished. Boundaries, right? Saturn is all about the boundary. And so sometimes we need to get to a breaking point with something where we're just finished and we're like, you know what, that's it. The boundary's going up now. I've had enough. Saturn will deliver this to us through Mercury passing over. And so by the time you're listening to this, you may have real clarity, Mercury, clarity in your mind about what boundaries you need now in whatever area of life this is showing up for you. And I don't mean that in terms of houses. I mean just intuitively know, like, okay, yeah, I've had this dynamic with this person or this group or at work or with my children or whoever. Maybe it's a dynamic within myself. Maybe it's a dynamic I have with food or alcohol or you name it, right? Something where you know you need some boundaries. And you're pretty clear now on what those boundaries are. Now, Mercury, when you're listening to this podcast, Mercury is now passed over Saturn, right? And so one of the other things Mercury may be delivering is the reaping, right? So remember, karma is about you reap what you sow. The seeds you have planted will grow into something. And so what are you harvesting? What is the harvest that is being shown to you right now? What's coming in for you? Is this tied to something that you have put into motion, either by action or inaction, right? You can sit with that and you can ask yourself what positive or negative harvests are coming in for me and what was my part in that? And this can be a deep reflection for you to sit with. Now, Mercury is in between Saturn at 20 degrees and the North Node at 27 and Neptune at 28. And so Mercury is, in a way, in that liminal space. And on the one hand, you may definitely be feeling that, like, well, I have clarity on some things. I'm pretty clear about my boundaries. I'm pretty clear what I'm done with, what is ending right now for me, what I'm finished with. But I don't really know what this looks like going forward, right? Like, let's say it's a dynamic with a person. You know what your boundaries need to be, but you're not exactly sure how this is going to play out, right? You don't know. Are they going to respect my boundaries? Are they going to say that, okay, yes, I respect your boundaries, but they're really just going to keep doing what they've always been doing? Or is it going to create a whole new dynamic for us, right? Or is it, are we going to circle again, right? Like, we don't know what the outcome is going to be necessarily with this new realization that we've had of what we're done with. Remember, for every ending, there is a simultaneous beginning but we don't always know what that is opening up to, right? If we're thinking about that swinging door, like, okay, so you walk in, right, like from the kitchen into that dining room in the restaurant, but are there customers there, right? Is it packed? Is it filled? Is it empty? Did everybody show up to work? Is everybody at their stations? Like, you don't know what you're walking into necessarily, right, when you're leaving the kitchen. So that is where Mercury is at right now. It hasn't yet become conjunct with the North Node, but when it does, in just a couple of days, you're gonna have, perhaps if you're open to it especially, and you want to set the intention now, to be open to receiving that new information coming from Mercury from that North Node. Remember, the North Node is our destined path ahead. Someone new may show up. Some new information may show up. Some new opportunity may show up, etc., etc. The North Node will bring things like this in our reality or in the mind. Remember, Mercury can also be the mind. And so while it may be communication with someone outside of yourself, it may be communication from your higher self. And you're going to receive that information in your mind. So just be open, because then only like a day or two later, after Mercury hits the North Node, will then 1 degree later hit Neptune. And Neptune is the highest love. Spirituality, oneness, rules Pisces, right? And so you may receive very loving energy, feelings, thoughts, epiphanies, inspiration, guidance from your angels, your guides, especially if you are open to that and you want to set that intention. All of this, Mercury is playing such an important part here, right? Mercury started just a few days ago, maybe 2 days ago, moving over Saturn, and then will be moving over the North Node and Neptune before it exits Pisces and then moves into Aries, a fire sign, where we're going to want to take action on those thoughts, on those inspirations, on those beautiful guidance and connective wisdom from the higher realms. So be very open to beautiful guidance, wisdom, inspiration coming through from your higher self, from your angels, your guides, from spirit, whoever you connect with. And allow it to flow within you. I would say that on the 27th, the 28th, if you can, take a salt bath. Really immerse yourself in the water. If you have a hot tub, or you have been wanting to do like that deprivation tank where you just float, anything in water where you can submerge yourself, you're going to be that much more open to connecting with those higher realms and what guidance Mercury wants to bring for you at this time. If you have no access to a bath or immersing yourself in water, you can still do this in the shower. You speak to the water. You do a shower meditation. You thank the water, which is source energy, right? Coming through the water, creating a beautiful connection, clearing your energy, clearing your aura, and directly raining down on your crown chakra. Open it up to the water. Open it up to the Piscean energy and Mercury that wants to drop this beautiful wisdom in for you at this time. So that would really be an amazing, very beautiful self-care for you to open up to this energy in a very tangible way and see what comes in for you. I would love to hear in the comments if this works for you, or if you want to sit in meditation, or if your dreams, that's the other thing about Pisces, right? I mentioned your dreams may be very vivid now. So you might want to, over the next couple of days, be jotting down some of those dreams, even in your notes app on your phone if you have that. And I'd love to hear what's been coming through for you. So please, let's connect. Leave a comment for me. It does really help my channel to reach more people with the algorithm god. So, and also it just lights me up to connect with you on a personal level, and to know how, these energies are really playing out for everyone. Okay, some of the other energy I want to touch upon here at this Pisces new moon is that Mars is also making a trine, a very supportive, harmonious aspect to both Saturn and Mercury. And this is pretty tight. It's only within like a 3 or 4 or 5 degrees. And Mars is now moving direct. Have you felt that over the last couple days? Like maybe you're starting to get your energy back. That could be physical energy. That could be mental energy. It could be even emotional, like you've been a little bit in the doldrums or feeling disempowered, kind of too deep down in your feelings to take any action. But now that's starting, the momentum is beginning. It's going to take a little while for us to really feel it. And then when Mars moves into Leo, which isn't for a little while yet, I will talk about that when it comes, but then we're really going to feel the fire, that Leo fire, and that open-hearted leadership energy where, we're going to be able to step into that action and really lead from the heart space. Whatever is we are passionate about, right? And so right now we're just getting started, but you might have noticed in the last day or two that you're starting to get some of your energy back. The truth is, with all of this energy though in Pisces, it can feel like running through water. And Mars is in Cancer, and even though it was floating backwards, and so we really felt like we couldn't take any steps forward, it's still not easy. It's still slow going, and just be patient, okay? I know Mars doesn't want anything to do with patience. Mars is rolling its eyes at the word patience, but this is for a reason, okay? We don't want to be rash. The time will come sooner than you realize where we're really going to be able to step into our power and take action. So for now, it's a little slow going, and we are gathering. We're gathering the information. We're gathering the wisdom. We're gathering the how-tos, and it's not all coming at once. Okay, so when we move into Aries season, and then when Mars moves into Leo, we're going to have tremendous shifts, both on a very personal and internal level, like for you personally in your life, and also on the world stage, and especially in the United States, we're going to be seeing it in very big ways. So, spoiler alert, but it is coming, my friends. The time for action is coming. So, I really want you to just savor this slowness right now. We are not quite done with winter in the northern hemisphere. March, the March equinox is the true beginning, not only of spring, but of the astrological new year. And so that is when another indicator of our energy really coming online and we're ready to go. So please, I ask you, savor these last few weeks of winter. It's coming into my mind. Gather you rosebuds while ye may. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I was a lit major, and that is from a poem that I had studied in college. And so if anyone knows what that poem is, you can drop it in the comments. But like, savor these last few weeks. It's quiet right now, right? Don't be in a rush to get things moving, because it's going to get moving. Okay, trust me on that. Everything is going to be accelerated. Everything's going to be fiery. Everything is going to be about us taking action. So just savor these last few weeks. Maybe nest a little bit more at home if you feel called to do so. Start planting seeds in your garden, both figuratively and literally, if you're a gardener like me. Maybe do some clean outs, right? Do some winter clean outs before spring comes so that you are ready to step into action. And also just savor we've been seeing that shift in the evenings, right? It's not dark anymore in New Jersey at, 4:30. We have more light. And so perhaps savor a little bit more of those longer nights that we still have for a little while. Light that candle, do a nighttime meditation, do some moon yoga, right? Make that cup of tea and just reflect on winter. The season is almost done. What was your relationship with winter this year? What have you learned? I recently decided, I decided this a couple of years ago, but each winter I make new strides. And this year I said it out loud and I said, the winter is 3 months at least of my year. I'm not going to walk around for 3.5 months, let's say, feeling bad about the season and hating it and begrudging it and, being a bah humbug. Like, I'm not doing it. It's too much time for me to spend in a low vibration. And so I have tried to find, and I have succeeded, I have to say, all the quiet beauty, right? All of the stillness, all of the rest, the softness, so much. And so I will be reflecting over the next couple of weeks on what this winter has meant to me, and I invite you to do the same. So the last thing I want to close with this Pisces New Moon is that Jupiter is also at play here. And Jupiter is the great benefic planet, bringing blessings and good fortune. And Jupiter expands everything it touches. So Jupiter, however, is making a square to this sun and moon within 3 degrees. That's pretty close, okay? That's pretty powerful. And so I feel that in this case, when you're dealing with Jupiter that is very, very high vibrational positive energy, the square is not necessarily difficulty. It's more an impetus. It's more a catalyst or a call to action. So I'm just going to circle back to that Saturn and all the Piscean energy of what you're done with, what you're complete with now. These 2 fish that represent Pisces, how they swim around in circles, right? These are the patterns of our life, the karmic patterns that we came here to awaken to, so that we can choose consciously whether these patterns are positive and life-affirming and helping us grow, or they are keeping us stuck and circling the drain, if you will, and never being able to evolve into that next version of self. But Jupiter can also be expanding our connection to the divine at this time, to our true authentic self, to self-love and compassion. And to me, this is not separate from the dissolution of those gaps and those blocks, because those gaps and those blocks keep us from self-love. They keep us from truly honoring who we came here to be in our most authentic path, despite what anyone has to say about it, right? It's not about anyone else. And so the boundlessness of Pisces, of the ocean, right, where there are no boundaries, Jupiter is expanding even further our connection to our limitless self, to our full and pure potential, our highest expressions of who we came here to be and what we came here to experience. And Pisces reminds us that it can all end, right? And so let us live in our true authenticity. Let us stop living in an energy where what other people say, think, do has an influence on who we are and what we came here to be and what we came here to do in this life. The only person we have to answer to is ourselves, and the only energy that we need to really truly listen to is our higher self and spirit, because that is the energy of truth. It's not a belief, it's the knowing that I was talking about earlier, right? So let Jupiter expand you into your next version of yourself that you are ready for now. Let Jupiter expand your intuition at this time, your knowing of who you are in all your glory. You are able to accept all versions of yourself, shadow and light, all your higher spiritual self and your very grounded, embodied human self, right? They are not separate. They are one and the same. That beautiful Pisces energy reminds us of that in its highest expressions. So that is really what I wanted to end with, is that beautiful Jupiter energy. The questions for reflection that I have for you for this Pisces new moon are: what is dissolving from your inner life, like your beliefs, fears, dynamics, self-talk? The second one is: for whom can you have compassion and forgiveness for now? Does this include former versions of yourself? Maybe those versions of yourself that tolerated a lot, that put up with a lot, that abandoned him or herself, yourself, right? Remember, Pisces energy is about compassion and forgiveness and kindness, as well as unconditional love. The next question is: what is dissolving in your personal world? Like the tangible things that you see are manifesting in or manifesting out, right? Now you're saying, well, Donna, you're asking what's dissolving, so how could something be manifesting in? But something, right? It's what I'm been saying this whole podcast, that when something dissolves, something new is created in its place. So just sit with that. And how can you better ride the waves of uncertainty in your life right now? And link this to your self-care. So remember, I said the time for action is coming. You will have clarity soon enough. So savor these last few weeks of winter, of quiet rest, of perhaps uncertainty and not knowing what those next yellow bricks in the road are that are going to light up for you. Just know that they are coming and they will be here sooner than you realize. Okay, well, that is it for the podcast today. I hope this was supportive for you. I hope this has empowered you and hopefully also validated some of what you've been feeling, given you some inspiration for how to work with this Pisces new moon. Please like the video if you like the video, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment if you would be so kind, share this with somebody who you feel would benefit from this information. And I will see you all soon under the moon. Bye-bye for now. Sending you so much love.